Okay, folks, as I said in the text there, I will be building a map out for Dwarf Fortress. First, we're going to generate a new world, and that'll take a little bit of time. We'll run through the process, just so you can see it. Once I get into the actual manual piece of it, where I'm actually clicking around and shit, I'll be more active, but initially, it's just going to be it processing it, I guess. But I'll bring over the live in-game display. Hopefully it actually captures what I want it to capture. Yep, there we go. That scene will work. Let's go ahead and start playing. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Create new world. That is what I'm going for. Yeah, this can take a while if you've never done it before. So I don't want to do a huge world. I want to be able to focus a little bit more, get in depth on it. I'm going to do a smaller world. So let's go to small. We'll make the history long. We'll go with, I want more conflict, more going on. So we'll do a high number of civilizations. Sites we'll leave at medium. We'll leave all that. Everything else can just do its thing. But let's go. And now it's going. I'll leave this up for a bit, and I'll be back. Feel free to chat. And watch this do its thing. It's pretty impressive. So the name for our region here is Solutsil, the Future Plains. These names are always fun to pronounce. It's all procedurally generated. It's pretty fucking impressive. And you see the ASCII that's being generated over on the big map on the right. That's what I'm trying to make a little more palatable to the eyes, and a little more understandable, kind of like the Middle-earth style map. Just even old school maps. I think those are always really cool. They're more stylized. They're not as clean as we see with like Google Maps. Like it's great. It works for navigating, but there's an art to map making. I'm leveraging my 8-ish years of experience of doing map making and figuring out for myself, because I used to be an imagery analyst. And then when I was in the military, they said, you now do maps too, so figure it out. But that's our aim today. I think we're getting close to the end of the history generation in the Age of Myth. I believe with the long history, it goes about 500 years. Which creates a lot of opportunities. I'm trying to figure out how I want to narrate this going forward. But I think I'll try to take the role of either a veteran of military campaigns on whatever plays out in this history, or we'll go ahead with a cartographer of some sorts, or a historian. We'll see what plays out, and we'll figure that out. And if I have enough viewers live, I'll let you guys decide who the character should be. But we'll pull up the Legends mode and all that stuff when this is done. We'll export that data. We'll run through my process on analyzing that, maybe with Excel and all that fun shit, because I'm a data nerd. But if you play Dwarf Fortress, I would hope you're a little bit of a data nerd. But I'll be back while this runs. And this is on a pretty beefy machine, by the way. It's got a new Ryzen 7, so pretty good. Should be able to crunch it, but I don't think this is multi-core. Well, we're at year 358, I think, of 500, so that's taking a bit. See if I can pull up one of the spreadsheets I've done in the past. Well, we're in the 400s now, moving a little further on. So we got a nice little evil island over there on the left, indicated by purple. So it's kind of weird. Normally with maps you keep consistency. Right, you leave the colors. You have a very specific type of map. Here you get a lot of stuff trying to be displayed at once, which is difficult. It's another thing I'm trying to alleviate with this. But this is the longest portion of the stream that I'm doing that will have me cutting in and out. Or I just go AFK, work on something else, or try to do stuff off screen. Just because I'm waiting for this to process. Once that's done, then we'll get into it. But I'll be building a map. Similar to the previous VOD that's on this channel, if you want to go check that out while this is running. I should be done processing this within the next, I'd say, 10 minutes. Then we'll go ahead and do our exports and DF hack and all that fun shit. Be a little process. Hang around and listen to the sound sense music in the background. It's quite nice. While I was processing, I'll talk about this for a sec. Blow it up a little bit. So I put together a spreadsheet by going through Legends mode and kind of cataloging various data points that could be useful for storytelling methods. Went by site, dictated what race it was, what civilization it was. Now this was a huge, huge map with tons and tons of civilizations as sites. Kind of cataloged where they were, do they have any sites left, how many wars have they fought, who their primary enemy was in those wars. Stuff that I could easily boil down into short stories about either a conflict or a people, and just go one by one and build videos more in a pre-recorded setting than live streaming it. Could do that too, but I think that kind of lends itself more to the pre-recorded, heavily edited style. But we're going to try something new. I don't know if I'll keep doing the spreadsheet thing, but it's getting a little easier to pull that data out in real time. as I read it and look at it in the Legends viewer. This is almost done, so I'll be right back. Welcome, Beefush, however you want to pronounce it. I think it's just about done building the history out at 523 years. I went for long on this one. So the general process I have, I'll explain it shortly, is generate a world, go into Legends mode, export all the maps, all the different types. Oh, that's interesting. Well, I'll see if I can fix that on my end. Yeah, I'm using the Focusrite Scarlet 2i2. It seems to like to only go to mono directly in Streamlabs, so I'm trying to figure out how to fix that. I can do it in post for pre-recorded videos, but it's odd that it's doing it here in live. Well, I'll play with that in a little bit. See if I can fix it, if it's not too big of a distraction. I could probably use third-party applications that I have to fix it, but I don't really know how to do that right yet. I'll have to troubleshoot it. But we'll continue with this for now. Okay, so we've got a nice world. The Satiny continent. So I intend to take all this ASCII and turn it into polygons by exporting the detailed biome map in Legends mode and converting that from colorized to grayscale, so no more RGB. So I have one value of 0 to 255 to work with in my GIS software, and turn all those values on the grayscale into polygons. And then from there, I can group them together by type, because it goes off the value that was on the grayscale. And those polygons then become forests, they become oceans, all that fun stuff. And then I've got symbology that I can slap on there by polygon, and then I've got a quick reference map that actually works and looks good. So let's accept that world. While that's saving buildings and stuff, let's see if I can fix this problem with my audio only coming through one channel. Well, that didn't really help going through the actual Focusrite app. It's kind of useless. Let's get this guy exported. Alright, so we need to go into start playing. Go to region 8, Legends mode. See if I click this to downmix it to mono. Let's see if that fixes it. Or are you getting it in both ears now, left and right, or just the one channel? Let's do the XML dump. I'd like to get all this information out, then I can open it in there. Oh, cool. All right. Well, hey, thanks for pointing that out. I did a bunch of YouTube videos. Didn't even realize it was in one channel for a while until somebody actually, like 3 videos in, said, hey, it's, I don't know if this is just me, but it's only coming through one channel, so constructive feedback is always useful. Yeah, so it looks like in Streamlabs, you just go to the settings for the mixer and downsample it to mono, and that fixed it. Troubleshooting 101, huh? Just keep playing with stuff until you figure it out, which I think is something a lot of people are missing these days. They immediately want to have somebody else fix it for them. So I'm not going to export everything because that'll take a while, since if I do the DF hack mode, which I don't even remember the string for that, that will export a map of every single site, which cool. I'd like to use that later, but not right now. So we'll do a couple of these because I can use the biome. That's the most useful right now. Well, hey, thanks for following. I appreciate it. I do plan on doing this more often. I can't really do it every single day, all day, but whenever I can. So that's exported. We'll go ahead and get... I find the hydrosphere is useful because then I can pull out rivers and stuff. I haven't quite figured out that process to automate it. I can manually draw lines over it and get some fancy rivers, but not right now. We'll start with those. I don't think we need anything else right out the gate. So we'll bring over... See, I got Photoshop here. Let me open it up first and then I'll bring it over. And I realize this kind of content's a little different. It's not standard gameplay, but I figure everybody does gameplay. I might as well try something different. That's more to my strengths. I made maps and stuff, analyzed imagery for a dozen years in the military. Recently got out, so I'm trying to, 1, stay up on those skill sets, and 2, kind of build some new ones. So these export out to your Dwarf Fortress folder. I'll bring up the biome map. Bring this guy over. So you get all these individual colors. Each of them are consistent every single time. The gray is, that particular gray RGB value is always mountains. This is tropical ocean, temperate, Arctic. I got a nice table that I use that I built out. It took me a little bit to figure out, but all I do in here is convert this over to grayscale. I'm gonna pull up my notes. I was smart. I took notes while I was doing things. I usually don't. Although apparently I didn't write it down in a easy to find place. So let's search. I generally remember where this was. we go. I think it was an adjustment layer, gradient map. Nope, that was, maybe that was. Change this to hopefully grayscale. Nah, this isn't what I want. See if I can find my actual notes. I use a mixture of OneNote and standard pen and paper because sometimes just writing shit down helps. Okay, I actually wrote that down. I'm going to have to digitize that. So it's image adjustments, grayscale, I think, gradient map. So it's close. It was a gradient map. It just wasn't that one. And we want grays. Go to basics and the black and white. There we go. Oh yeah. Like I wasn't a fan of it initially, and then I started actually playing with it. I used to use it, well, we would use, what was it? Some people would use Notepad for taking digital notes on our aircraft, because I was an aircrew member. And yeah, it sucked because one, you can't do anything with Notepad, and two, if that thing crashes, you're fucked. Like there goes all your notes. And that was like important stuff like logging shit as a sensor operator, detailing pattern of life stuff, and yeah, you lose that stuff, you kind of have to rescrub through all your video. You don't really have time for that. So OneNote's one feature of, hey, I don't have to hit save, great. It's got an autosave feature, perfect. And then all the other features in there are just phenomenal. But with that, we are done. I think I can just save over this thing. But we'll save over a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A copy. And use a good naming convention. That'll work. So, we'll pull up ArcMap. This is kind of the premier, or it's about the only GIS tool that's out there that anybody uses. There are other ones, obviously, but this is mainly it. So first off, I don't really need this. None of this is going to be to scale on the map. I haven't cracked that nut yet, but first, I got to bring over the maps. I did a full export of the all the sites on a very large world, and this is the kind of shit you get, right? I've kind of got a legend for this, and I think I could build detailed maps on each site, or specific ones that, you know, I'm interested in highlighting for a storytelling method, but yeah, not quite there yet. But just for one region, it exported about 1,000 sites. It's quite a bit. Way more than I have time to go through. But if I can automate that, great. That also works. That's like relationship tables, other fun databasey things. Let's see, what else? I need that one image. I'll bring in both the original and the new grayscale we just did. misclicking all over the place. Okay, so we got some stuff now. We'll bring in, and we'll do pyramids. This can take a little bit because it's building the different, essentially it's building pyramids. So what it's doing is at each different zoom layer, it's building another resolution of that image. Just, it's better for caching purposes. This is going to plop us at 0, 0. Usually that's what it does. So if we zoom to layer, turn this off because I don't really need that real world topographic map anymore. But we've got it in here. Now it's geo-referenced, so to speak. It's got coordinates you can see on the bottom down here. And we'll bring in the important one for reference. So we've got this will actually be our working document. Bring in the grayscale, and then I can start processing. Speaking of OneNote and Microsoft stuff, I don't know if you've seen the To-Do application, but that's starting to get a little traction out there. I haven't really played with it too much, but could be handy. Alright, so we got our nice grayscale map. Well, I don't think they came in the same location, so whatever. We'll work with this. It's fine. Alright, time to reference my steps that I've actually captured in digital format. From here, it actually should be pretty simple. I think it's just the raster to polygon tool. If you're not familiar with this kind of terminology, a raster is essentially it's a pixel-based static document. You've got each pixel has a different value depending on what the cell size is. So each one has like an RGB value or a grayscale depending on the band. And what we're going to do is create vector data, or polygons, lines, and points. Those are the main types of vectors. So that's like your roads, your rivers, your counties, any kind of stuff like that. Let's go to Tools. Now I'm using the ESRI at home license, so this is not something I can really use for commercial production. It's more for learning and personal use, student use. It's like $100 a year. If you're interested, go to ESRI.com. And you can find it on there. ESRI at home. ESRI at home. Some people call it ESRI, some people call it ESRI, whatever. Doesn't matter. So we've got this guy selected, because it's over here in the layers. Change the output to, whatever, that's fine, doesn't matter. Simplifying the polygon's fine. We'll create multi-part features and run it. Hopefully it works. Boom, there we go. Now we got a bunch of polygons of the same color. However, this is also a database, so I can go to the attribute table and see all these nice little features. Like here's the length of it. It should be, I think, in meters, but not to scale. None of that shit's relevant. It's all relative to each other. But the grid code is what we care about right now. These individual items are multi-part features, or they should be. And I think we can just go here to unique values. And we can assign it by grid code. So now they all have different colors. Oh, that's right. Before I go much further, I do need to explode these because they're multi-part features. Like, there are multiple of this one grid code in different polygons. I need to separate those out. But I can do that after the fact to simplify my workflow. Welcome back, Iweva and Royal Star Lord. I'm going to go ahead and try to fix my audio if it's too quiet on your end. I did notice my... it's weird, so it's inconsistent. Yeah, I'm basically eating the mic. I've got it maxed out on the mixer. Although my audio is kind of quiet coming through my headphones, so I don't know what the hell's going on. Kind of weird. I'll see if there's a setting I can fix real quick. Let me, I'll be right back. How does that sound? I gave it a little bit of a gain boost. But if that works for everybody, I'll continue. If it doesn't, let me know. So I need to pull up a reference spreadsheet that I have, because Excel works wonders for everybody. Now I've manually mapped out my grid codes here. Each of these are unique values. That's really just the band value for the grayscale. It's nothing too crazy, but it does group them, which works for our purposes here. There's a lot of troubleshooting and trial and error to get to this point where I can automate a lot of this. But if we look at 18 on my spreadsheet, that is type water. So I'm going to go ahead and add some fields to this bad boy. This is just another SQL database, but it's built into the application. So the field name is type. At least that's what I'm using. This lets me categorize things a little better. It's better for organizing symbology later. Okay, 255 is plenty long, and we'll add one more. Oh, I am on the BRP screen. I recently updated my Stream Deck, and it broke my buttons, apparently. Let's try that. There we go. Should be back up now. All I did was I went in and went to my attribute table here and then added a few more fields. So I'm still working on that now. Didn't really do much. Okay, cool. This is all a new process for me. I just upgraded my entire kit and yeah, working out kinks. So I do type and subtype. There's probably better names I could use for this, but most of this is I'm just doing it for myself, so as long as it makes sense in my head, I guess that's all that matters. It's more when you're working on a team and trying to maintain continuity between multiple people working shit. We'll make that one 1,000. It's all text, and that's good to go. Apply the changes. Now we can go back to this guy. Actually, we can close that. And if I do this, I can change the type to water, and I know 18 is tropical ocean. This way, when I explode it out into the multiple subparts, it should maintain this data, but then I can just add more to it. Now I'll add another field later, but that'll be the name. I may not do this in this stream just because that becomes really tedious. I kind of have to go into the world in Dwarf Fortress and then just pan over to each feature and kind of match it up map to map and then get the names out. I don't really plan on doing that right now. I might do it for a few big features, but that's it. I can do it in Legends mode too, the Legends viewer. Let's try this. First, I might have to add my... I think I have to add my symbology to it first, unfortunately. This seems to happen way more than it should. Dumps it out. Alright, I think it was this one. There we go. I stole this from another guy who does a lot of videos, and he built out the entire symbology for like a Middle-earth style map. He's applied it to the actual Earth, and it's pretty cool. So I'm basically stealing his symbology. Gave him credit on one of my videos. Can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'll drop that in the description on the VOD. But since we know this is ocean, I can use the lake one, or I can just use regular parchment as the background, but this adds all the fancy cut lines. The problem is now I got lines between my different oceans. That's not really how that should work. So let's go ahead and just use parchment for now. And let's see what 44 is. I'm just going to go down the line and add these in. Some of these I haven't quite figured out what they are yet, because some maps don't have certain biomes, so it's a work in progress. Yeah, I don't know what this one is yet. I'd have to look it up. 48. I know that one is forest. And specifically a conifer forest. Now, that doesn't really matter for what we're doing with symbology, but let's pan to some of that, and I'll change that to a forest. At least that should have worked. Oh, I changed the water to forest. My bad. 48. Alright, that's coming together. I think I can automate this portion too. So the entire idea with this is I come up with a foolproof process that works on every single Dwarf Fortress map, and then I can just apply that process to it, automate a large portion of it, and then manually tweak things here and there. One, to do it for my own videos, because I want to do kind of like a bigger picture storytelling, more on the history of Dwarf Fortress worlds as they're built. But if there are other people, like, I don't know, Krug Smash tends to use the Dwarf Fortress map to depict his storytelling for like where his dwarfs are going. It can work if you want to go for that style, but if you want something different, that's something I might be able to farm out to other people that are building these videos for Dwarf Fortress and make it more approachable for people that don't like ASCII. Next one is 52. That is another forest, but it is a taiga. And we'll change that to forest as well, because it doesn't need to be different. And we got all these. So if I can figure out how to automate this, which should just be a relationship table, I think it's doable. I just need to do a lot of research. But what are we up to? Hey, looks like we got 7 viewers. It's probably the most I've had on any of my streams yet. So, getting up there. Happens to be on one of the more nerdy kinds of videos. It's not just your standard video playthrough. Looking at data. I like doing it. Some people like doing it. Apparently you guys like doing it. But I don't think everybody does. 75 is the next one I know, which apparently don't have. So there are no tropical freshwater lakes on this map. That's interesting. 87 is the next one, though. Which I also don't know. So I'm going to have to figure that out later. Yeah, making it big, oh. Making it big. Yeah, more just doing this because I'm in between jobs after getting out of the military, and I'm just waiting on this one position to finish out the administrative paperwork. But I figured while I've got time, I might as well fucking do something. Be a little more sociable in this manner rather than just nerding out of my house. All right, 87. Don't know what it is. 91. That is a forest. Temperate broadleaf forest. And honestly, so what I want to do with this too, like, it doesn't have to be some big time YouTuber or somebody that I do this for. Like, if you guys are interested, you can share one of your worlds with me and I'll do it on the live stream. This kind of stuff is fun for me. I like doing this. We got 98 water and temperate ocean. Oh, we'll go down the list here. 91 is forest. 98 is temperate ocean. So we'll go to parchment again. I'm trying to figure out a better way to do water because, like, typically old school maps didn't have a lot of color just because that was hard to do. A little more expensive. But I think it can look better with, you know, different colors on there. It contrasts a lot better. Let's see, 114 is a temperate shrubland. I will probably eventually make drop downs for this, so I don't have to manually hand jam this in there and probably make a typo because I'm pretty good at making typos. Not that it matters too much. So for shrubland, we'll go ahead and pick scrub. We'll zoom in on that. Let's go ahead and clear our selection so you can see. Yeah, it's nice little sparse trees and stuff. This border around the forest is supposed to not cut off like that. I gotta figure that out. It's supposed to just have, you can see like the tree trunks, like you can see here on this line. It's supposed to have that look to it. I'm working on it. That'll be something I do off stream. Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing a long time ago either, Uweva. Basically, the Army was like, okay, you guys are imagery analysts, which means I took satellite imagery, imagery from aircraft and ground sources, and then I'd analyze it. I'd go, oh, hey, that tank is a T-55 tank. You know, I could identify those features. At some point, the Army just decided, hey, now you do mapping too, so figure it out. There's no schools, just do it. So some people did, some didn't. I took it up because I thought it was interesting. And it was a lot of, let me click this button. What does it do? Oh, I broke it. I crashed the program. But those skills have kind of made this a lot easier. Something that nobody else is really doing, but yeah, this is a GIS program. This is what most maps you see out there are made from. That's Geographic Information Sciences. Or geographers, cartographers, that kind of stuff. But this is what people use these days. You can do a ridiculous amount of stuff in this. It's super powerful. Like it can handle millions of data points. You can try more, but you know, you'll probably crash it or your computer. I've done all of the above. Dealing with intelligence data back in the day. Let's see, what do we got next? 9. No, 121. Well, I don't know what that is either. So there's actually a lot of stuff on here I don't know, but we'll pull up the map. Well, I would say it's a lot easier to use now. You've got this program, ArcGIS Pro. So this is the much more user-friendly version that they've come out with. It's replacing the old ArcMap. That was a very cumbersome engineer-focused or engineer GUI kind of system. Very bare bones. Lots of drop-down menus, that kind of stuff. This resembles, well, kind of resembles Office now. It's got the ribbon up top. So really, you have like this is your map pane right here in the center. You've got that. That's, well, obviously where your map is. This is an attribute table that shows what's in your database. This is your layers or contents pane. Like, however this is ordered is how it will draw on top of each other. They rack and stack. This is kind of new. They've got a lot of stuff over here. Like, this is where it's very contextual. It's tabulated. You got your catalog. That's all your databasing and stuff, tools. But just dropping in maps and stuff is fairly easy. Bringing in data is pretty easy. They've got a lot of stuff. And if you go on their site, they've actually got a lot of online courses. So it's a cool field to get in. Mapping is interesting, I think. One of the best books I've seen on it is How to Lie with Maps. It's similar to How to Lie with Statistics because you're really cherry picking data as you go through it. You physically cannot display every piece of data, so you can't give everybody all the information. You're selectively choosing information. So that's what I'm doing here, right? I'm simplifying some of the stuff, like simplifying forests, I'm not telling you that visually that you can tell this is temperate broadleaf forest versus taiga. You can see a delineating line, but that's about it. Star-Lord, thanks for following. Appreciate it. But yeah, in the military, for me, it was mostly mapping out terrorist networks, going, okay, well, here's a safe house for this guy. Here's the vehicle he uses to go from here to here. He does meetings at this location, that kind of stuff. So it's depicting those kind of routes. Now, this is totally different. But it'll be similar when I'm trying to show, well, here's the mountain homes for this dwarven tribe or this dwarven civilization. And here's where they're going to set up a new dwarf fortress. It'll be easier to depict and for other people and myself, to be honest. I can find that stuff much easier. But yeah, all I have off screen is an Excel doc with 3 columns. One is the grid code, which is this number, and then the type and subtype. And that's just me going through and manually matching that up so I can show you. All right, good. I'm glad you find it interesting. Yeah, it's kind of a gamble. I wanted to see if anybody would find this interesting, but I'll show you real quick. If I go to Region 8, I go to Dwarf Fortress. This is where I can try to match things up a little. We'll see if we can figure out what one of these is. This might take a second. It's going to calculate the history going forward 2 weeks. So this is the map if any of you played Dwarf Fortress ever or seen videos on it. This is normally what you have, and that's why my goal is to turn it into something a little easier to interpret. So if we pull up, let me make this smaller, be easier to work with. So let's say I want to figure out what 44 is. Fortunately, 44 is out on an island. So that gives me a discrete location to figure out what's what. So if I pull up this, I know through map-to-map correlation. Again, that's an acquired skill over many years. This is on the bottom right of the map. So it's probably this little island over here. Let's pan over to it. And we can see similar features. This little guy is this island. This guy is this island. We care about what's on this tile. So what is it? That says ocean. That's not right. So it's a tropical coniferous forest. And it's basically a big puzzle, right? You're playing Where's Waldo, trying to match things up. So since we know what it is, we'll add it. It's a forest. And tropical coniferous. And there's one typo right there. Okay. And that's all I've done. Like, I've spent a lot of time going through each one of these, and I've got most of them mapped out and cataloged in my Excel doc. But I have a long ways to go. So we figured out 44. I'm going to add it to my Excel doc so I don't have to do this all over again. Cool. That is 44. Yet another forest. Let's go ahead and run through some of these other ones. We'll figure out, well, while we're here, we've only got one more that we don't know. And that's 87. Hey, perfect. It's on that same island. That's convenient. So let's go back to Dwarf Fortress. Got to figure out which window it is. And it's really just the other half of that island. So we go over to, it's a tropical, moist, broadleaf forest. Okay. Well, that's new. Let's see, tropical, moist, broadleaf. If the background desktop noise is too loud, too, let me know. So this island is all forest. Now I could delineate it. I could go, okay, well, this one's a forest. This is a forest light, forest sparse. Now I can manually change the stuff, too. It doesn't have to be all the same. But you can see when you zoom in, you get this nice patterning on the trees. Eventually we'll add some of the names too. Just, that's more something I will do off stream just because it's super tedious. Okay, cool. Yeah, I don't even think it's playing right now. I think it's stopped with SoundSense. Let me kill that because SoundSense actually has some pretty cool music. Let me kill it. And it's music that's not going to get me a copyright strike or something. I don't think. Nope, just doesn't want to play. See if I can just find a video online that's got it. Just because it's kind of tedious. I would rather have something playing. Because in the military, especially as an aircrew member, I got used to listening to music overall at a low level through my headset, piping the in-aircraft comms through one ear, and then the other ear I was listening to radio comms going out from outside the aircraft. So while typing and operating a sensor and all kinds of fun stuff. So that has become my norm. I need input quite a bit. It's not some on the spectrum autistic thing. That's just straight up I've been conditioned. This might be loud right out the gate. I'll turn it down. There we go. That's just the sound sense music. Now let's move on. What do we got next? Number 121. That's another one we don't have. Okay. Let's figure it out. I think that's one of the cool things about Dwarf Fortress is every world is so incredibly unique. Okay. Where is this guy? Pan to it. Oh god, this might be one we don't figure out right away because it's very small and it's, I think, in only one location. Through a process of elimination, I could probably figure it out eventually, but we'll give it a shot. These are the ones that get tough because they're not in a discrete location. They're kind of stuck in there. Yeah, that alert sound, super annoying. I actually went in and found the sounds that it used, and I deleted them in the text file, I think. Somebody put out a tutorial on it. I found like one forum thread that talked about it. So it was super fucking annoying. Like even my wife could hear it upstairs. She didn't know if it was somebody outside that was making the noise or what, like a car alarm going off. I couldn't stand that stupid doo-doot. Pan flute. Let's figure this out. What do we got? So, I'll just give you a little idea of what I'm trying to do with the map-to-map correlation. I'm looking for features. I know this is water, so I know it's a little easier when I just have my dual screen set up, using both of them, but this will work. So I know this is ocean, or at least a lake of some kind. It's water. This is more detailed than this, but that is likely in here. Particularly this little scoop is likely that. So let's get up there. This is the world map, and you got the region map in the middle, locals on the left, if you've never played. We got our nice little ocean here, the Gulf of Freckles. Another great procedurally generated name. So we can see these forests here. I think it's going to be this little double hash. Yeah, let's check it out. Temperate grassland. I think I already have that in my reference document. Maybe I don't. Okay, yeah, that's actually temperate grassland. Sweet. So that is 121. Yeah, all I did was I kind of referenced what I already have in the document, and then since that was the only unique thing there, I just, yeah, I'm making assumptions here a little bit. Eventually I'll be able to see it over multiple maps, and when I see one where there's huge temperate grassland, then I've got confirmation in another map, because these values are consistent through different maps, different worlds that it generates. Okay, so let's see, what do we want to give temperate grassland? Okay, that's 121. We'll give that. Could go for Savannah. Gone back and forth on it, whether or not to use something like just the blank canvas, or use this, because this is going to come up with some different symbology. It might show some shrubberies and small sparse forests, which it works for certain locations. It looks fine. But this is how it should look on the edge here. You can kind of see it. It's just a drawing order problem, which I might be able to fix in this stream. If I just reorder things a little bit. Put the forests on top of the other polygons. So that's all it is. You're just stacking different symbols. But they should have those little tree trunks. I think that looks pretty cool. And if I can get that to work, it'll look pretty good. But just as a point of reference, what do we start with? We went from this guy. Well, we ended up at this for right now. We had this lovely little grayscale pixel map. And we started with this guy, although it's not in the right location. But all those colors. Got the colored biome map. We turned it into grayscale, and then we built polygons out of it, and now we're assigning symbology and mapping out what each polygon is. Guess I can close that and get a little more of my real estate back. Let's move on to the next one. Number 128. And that's mountains. Still trying to figure out a good way to symbolize this guy for the mountains anyways. There's 128. So we'll just go with the regular old mountains on here. Gotta remember, there it is. So the density of it's kind of clustering them towards the center mass on the larger portions. I would kind of like to make this more, and figure out how to display it better for like a more linear mountain range. Like this one's huge. Let's go ahead and deselect stuff so you can kind of see. Now we got mountain ranges here, forests all around them. And this is actually what's in the game. We'll be able to label these with names and all that stuff shortly. Just want to get through these. There's not too many left. Next one is 138, and that is hills. I don't think I ever figured out exactly what types of hills those are, but it doesn't really matter. So 138, that's going to be foothills. Next one is 139, and that's Badlands. Yeah, Toady, the dude that made this, like he's done a lot of work on world generation and actually researching things. Like I saw one video where he didn't realize that cashews came from essentially like an apple. And so he modeled all that stuff in the game, and it's the sheer level of research that goes into this is incredible. Let's see what we got for Badlands. I think I want to do probably Scrub. Let's do that. Next one's 142. Actually, no, it's, what is it? Yep, 142. I don't know what that is, so let's find out. Cool, it's on an island. It's only got 2 different biomes on it, so I think we can figure this one out. So it's on that third island that's down here in the corner. Let's find it. It's this guy, and it is whatever this is. It might be the tropical saltwater swamp. So the problem is it's going off of the local map right here. So I have to make sure that's lined up properly too. And there can be multiple biomes within that small chunk. But I think it's going to be this forest. Probably a saltwater swamp. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, those guys are... They'll implement stuff as they figure it out. I'm fine with them taking however long they need to. I mean, considering the game's really only on version 0.42, and it's been in development this long, like, that's crazy. Oh, unfortunately, eventually there's got to be an end to it. Who knows what stage we'll be at with it. Let me see if I've got a tropical saltwater swamp in my... Got temperate saltwater, temperate freshwater swamp. I think we figured it out. I think that's it. So, 142. That's wetlands and a tropical. I'll go ahead and add it in here. All right. 142. Oh, did I fuck up my hills? I think I did. I have to check my symbology there. I think I fucked up. Wetlands. Got swamp. See how that looks. Clear that selection. Yeah, looks like your standard swamp on most maps. Unfortunately, some of this is really jagged. I think I simplified it too much. I had the simplify the polygons, which is fine. I can actually smooth that out through some processing, but that's something I have not nailed down how to do perfectly. So 138 should be hills. So let's go back to foothills on that. 139 is badlands, so we'll go back to scrub. There we go. Try to fix stuff that I mess up as I find it. So otherwise I probably will forget and won't come back to it. All right, we got water and a temperate brackish lake. $145. We'll go with the lake. We'll take a look at one of them. That must be a very, very tiny lake. Oh, it just put me in the center of two of them. Okay. Let's clear that. I usually turn off some of these lines. That's a little too much. For now, so I can differentiate water from everything else, I'm just going to go with the parchment. You can always modify it later. $151. That is also wetlands. And it is a temperate saltwater swamp. If I want to simplify this quite a bit, subtype really is just for further organization, but I could just go by type instead of go by grid code. And then I could have all the wetlands look like one thing. It would simplify the symbology quite a bit. But I have to do this first, right now, so I can associate grid codes to types manually. I'm trying to automate that process if I can. So 151 is swamp. Let's go ahead and take a look at one of those. Oh, that's big. That's a big swamp. So after I'm done with like making this map and fleshing it out, I'm going to try to experiment in telling the story of, like, if I go through Legends mode. Let me pull that up real quick. Give you an idea. Let's see. That is Legends. As soon as this comes up, I should be able to load the XML archive. Let's go over here and do that. But I want to try to tell the story. Like, I noticed going through the data that you can see pretty cool stories. Like, hey, you could detail a whole campaign that one civilization did to fight a war against another one, or you could follow the story of how a kobold civilization was wiped out by several great beasts, forgotten beasts and stuff. Kind of similar to how, like, Krug Smash does his really good storytelling on the individual dwarf fortresses. I kind of want to take that out to the bigger picture and cover, like, multiple years or like an entire age. I just put together edited videos of those. Try my hand at a little animation maybe, but mostly just animating symbology on a map and showing, okay, well, I can tell the story of this guy or where these guys expanded. It's something I'm just going to kind of feel out as I go, but I'll probably put those up on YouTube and BitChute, probably, because they'll be more edited. YouTube right now, I'm mostly just doing standard playthroughs of, right now, Xenonauts 2, Phoenix Point, some Star Citizen, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd like to try to do a little bit more of a narrative storytelling of shit that happens in Dwarf Fortress Legends mode, but make it much more appealing for other people. Let's see, we are Region 8. Gotta find that XML. It looks like it's missing some of the stuff, but see if it'll actually pull anything up. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do another export, I think. But whatever, we can show that later, or another stream. All right, cool. I'm glad you think so. I think it's a niche that nobody's done yet, so it's something kind of unique. It might take me a little while to do, though. I don't know. It's one of those things, it's kind of, if you've never done it before, it's kind of hard to gauge how long it'll take or how realistically you can do it. Or do I need to get other people to help voice some things? I don't know. That's kind of the problem with doing things first. Or maybe not first, but in any kind of reproducible manner. Because this could have been done hand-drawn, right? It's doable, but that's a lot of work. I don't like doing a lot of work if I don't have to. I like to automate things where I can. And this is one of those things I can do. Using a pre-existing skill set that I had and applying it to something like this. It's a low-density game. And I'll be honest, like, I just started uploading videos like a month ago at this point, and it was very strange just sitting here talking to myself, well, talking to my computer, and then eventually other people can consume it. It's kind of awkward. Particularly since in my career, I was in more of the, let's just say the spooky side of things. So it was more, don't be out there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, Neo, it's totally way more work on the front end. But on the back end, if you're trying to replicate something, it's better. It's less work eventually. If you're trying to do multiple. So, like, if I wanted to do 5 different worlds and try that, that's where automating it up front definitely helps. I tried like 5 different ways to do that. That's the thing with this application. There's like 500 different ways to do anything. So I tried probably like 5 different ways that should have worked. They absolutely should have worked. And it was like using machine learning built into the software, and it just didn't work. It was like, nope, not going to work. I'm going to error out on you. So I just found other ways, tried them, and I eventually found this one, just turning it into a grayscale and working with that. 160 is grassland. Don't really know what kind. I don't care right now. So 160, we'll change that to... Yeah, let's go with scrub. .163 is wetlands. Yeah, I think eventually, when I finally have work again, should be in the next month or 2, my time will dwindle on this, and that's where the automation also helps. I still plan on continuing to do this because I think it's fun. I was just dabbling in the live streaming / video production. It's kind of a hobby to keep myself busy. And yeah, I think it's something I enjoy doing. People seem to enjoy some of my content, so hey, if there's an audience out there for it, I'll do it. All right, hey, well, thanks for hanging out, Ueva. Take it easy. It's still daytime for me, just afternoon. But hey, I'll see you next time. So we got a temperate saltwater swamp here at 163. Let's go ahead and change that to the nasty, nasty swamp. Just like Washington, D.C. Both sides of the political aisle. Bunch of swamp rats. Let's clear that. 166 is barren. And is desert dunes. Let's see, what do we want to use for that? Yeah, we'll use desert. Look at that. Let's take a look at that guy. No, I did it again. I changed the wrong one. Change that back to swamp. It's very easy to get ahead of yourself here. All right, that is 166. Changing that to desert. We'll go to 168. That is water. Temperate freshwater lake. One of the funny things is, like, you see all these different subtypes. Like, did they really need to add this level of detail to Dwarf Fortress? Like, did we really need to know that it was a temperate saltwater lake or a temperate freshwater lake? Like, that can make a difference, saltwater versus freshwater. But theoretically, they could have just made, okay, well, this is all saltwater because it's ocean. This is all freshwater. But they've gone into such level of detail that it affects, like, what wildlife is in that biome, what can be there. And even all that's procedurally generated. It's crazy. Freshwater lake, we'll go back to parchment for that. Next one is 180. And that is grassland, tropical grassland. Now, I don't really have symbology to differentiate tropical versus temperate grassland, but for now, it's a simplified map. Damn it, did I fuck that up again? I really need to pay attention to this. Over here. What do I have selected? Attention to detail. All right, 180. Got 180. That is grassland. We'll go with scrub for now. I might just switch all that to standard paper. All right, 168 is water. 166 is desert dunes. Alright, we're getting there. We've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. What, 9, 10? Yeah, 9. 187. And that is a temperate conifer forest. Nope. Yeah, if I eventually make these into drop downs that I can just add, so much easier. A little more consistent, but it's more front end work. Like you said, automating that kind of stuff takes a lot more work on the front end. Pays dividends on the back end though. 189. Oh, I didn't add the symbology for 187. Let's go back to forest. See how the whole map's looking. We're getting close. We're getting real close. So 189, I already know what that is. It's going to be Arctic. Water. What do I have in here? Arctic Ocean. So 189, that'll be parchment as well. And the thing is, right, this is Arctic, this is temperate, and this down here is tropical ocean, but they're all technically the same ocean. So for labeling purposes, it might make more sense to combine all those into one. Let's move on to 191. You can see this work takes a while. A lot of it's automated, a lot of it's manual. But I've already been streaming for an hour 36, and we're at this point. Not bad, considering a good portion of that, like the first 30 minutes, was just Dwarf Fortress generating the world. Let's see. So 191 is Tropical Savanna. Not really sure what I would classify that as. Probably grassland, I guess. Two N's. Some words I'm not great at spelling. I do have a public school education. not that great. Went to community college, then joined the military, and then went back to online school while I was in. So I can write good. I can write a lot, but yeah, some words I rely on good old autocomplete, autocorrect, spelling check. $195. What do we got? That's wetlands, saltwater marsh. We'll do a little bit of labeling here in a bit, just so you can see what it looks like. What do we got? Totally. Man, I keep fucking this up. That is parchment. This is why it's probably better to go in after the fact and just run through each one of these and do it manually. Do that as a separate action instead of labeling and doing symbology. But I think for the stream, it actually works out pretty good. So you can see it. You can see the process. You can see the results like in real time. All right, what else did I miss here? 189, that's parchment. 191 is Savannah. $198. What did I say that was? We don't know. Okay, well, these are pretty big areas. I should be able to figure it out. So let's take a look at good old Dwarf Fortress. And we've got... Where's the best place to use here? You got this nice island out to the west. Or there's this guy somewhere in the middle here. So you got tropical freshwater and a tropical saltwater marsh. I think that might be what we're looking at. Let's take a look at some of these other locations first. So we've got tropical freshwater marsh. How about over here? Oh god, this is not... this is where it gets frustrating, because you're trying to map this stuff out. And you get a lot of overlap between different things, or you get a civilization that's built on top of it, so screws you over. But it's a fun process, right? If you like puzzles, that's basically what mapping is. What we got over here? Tropical freshwater. I'm thinking it's tropical freshwater. Let's see. Do we have tropical freshwater over here? In my little reference guide. Oh, just got a freshwater marsh. I don't have a tropical freshwater. Cool. Well, we figured out another one. Freshwater. That's it. 198. So I gotta change. Let me make sure 191 is still Savannah, just in case I jack that up, as I am frequent to do. Change 198 over to Swamp. It's coming together. We almost got a full map here. We've only got 4 more to go. So we've got 202, tropical shrubland. And we'll do scrub. That works for me. I did it again. Let's fix it. Yeah, I think later on in another stream I'll probably do all that after the fact. Hopefully I'll have it automated by then. Go to scrub. That's no TLC scrub. Although shrubland I feel like should be something else. Oh, we can use Savannah maybe. Might look good. Problem is then it looks like this guy too, but it'll work for now. 205 is wetlands, freshwater marsh. That is, what did I say? Freshwater marsh, right? Yeah. Some more swamp. I might go in and start building some of these myself too, because that's not that hard. Like I could draw some of the stuff myself. I'd like to do some water that's more, that has like waves and have like the old Here Be Dragons style mapping, where you've got like serpents coming in and out of the water and shit. And I feel like that would work really well for Dwarf Fortress. Let's see, we got 210. That's Glacier. Let's see what we got for those. It's only one. I don't think I really have one for that, so I think I've been using Desert for that, because it's the same general class, right? It's barren land. Fuck that up again. You would think, because I keep thinking like, hey, it's selected here. It means it's going to select that one and change it. Nope. Goes off this. 205 is swamp. 210, however, will mark as desert. And we're on the last one, which is 228. That's tundra. I guess for this one I could use I guess glacier would be more like mountainous, I guess, or rolling hills. I could use that. We'll do tundra as scrub, because I think that's a little more appropriate for it. We'll do rolling hills for that, see how that looks. We'll clear it, and that's every one of them. Let's take a look. What do we got? Not bad, not bad. It's going to have trouble drawing it, unfortunately, but I think we actually have a map. Let's try something else with the water real quick. I think I have another map type that I can bring up, or more symbology I can add. Just gotta remember where buttons are. It might be this one. Nope. There we go. Let's try this guy. So that didn't fill. So let's try a little something different here. Let's go to properties. Let's change the color to a nice blue color. See how that looks. I think there's a way to add kind of like a scratchy look to it. Yeah, I think it's only adding stuff to the outside. We'll add this, change the color a little bit to... Don't think I want that one. I want kind of like a washed out blue. So we'll try that. We'll go ahead and add a transparency to it to make it look a little different. I might be able to do this, and I might not be able to. Yeah, that one's boring. The land of glittering. The island of walks. The land of tiredness. Ooh, the Vermilion Land. So that's actually a good name. I feel like those are kind of like Easter eggs that Toady threw in there. Let's go ahead and name the crude barbs, just so you can see that process if you're interested. And we'll see how it looks. But first, what we got to do is add... Okay, first things first, I got to go ahead and remember how to explode this data, which I think is in here, and then you explode it because it's multi-part, and now I'm going to get a ridiculous number of fields or records in here. I think I have to select all of these. There we go. Let's try that. Hey, it kept the naming convention. Hey, that's one step in the right direction for me. Because last time I did it, I exploded it first, and then I had to paste or copy and paste every single record and update that field. So now we've got all of the shrubland is labeled, all the tundra is labeled by type, and they're all individual records, or they're individual polygons, I should say. So the one over here is unique to the other ones, and I can add unique fields to those. So let's go back to data. Still got to remember where things are in here, because I am still learning ArcGIS Pro by doing this project. I've got a lot of experience in ArcMap, which I know where the buttons are on that. This is a totally different layout from that. Oh, here we go. Let's save our edits. Save often and early. Alright, so I need to add a field. There we go. We'll add a name field. And that's got to be text. So again, we're dealing with SQL here. We'll make that 1,000 characters long. That should be plenty. Now that can be as big as you need it to. It's just there's no need to make the database bigger than it has to be. And I think we'll save that change. Let's go in and change some of this stuff. All right. Let's select this big bastard here. And I can select just that guy, and this is the... Boom. Okay, that has data in it. Now we know the name of that mountain range, which is the mountain range for the entire thing. So, let's do a little bit of labeling. So the field I want to label it by is the name field. We'll try basic polygon first. Let me save my data first, my edits. Yeah, so if you guys are interested in this kind of content, like I can always do this. This is interesting for me. It's kind of fun. It seems like some of you are interested in it. Spread it around, spread the word. Word of mouth is always good. See if I can get this to actually label. Sometimes the labeling is a pain in the ass. Okay, there it is. Cool. So we got that. Now I want to change it to one of these fonts that I added. I think it was Middle Earth. There we go. We got that. Let's make it huge. Actually, we don't have to do that. We can do it a little more in a little more sophisticated manner. if I can remember how to do it. I think it's labeling, and then if I come into this tab, I should be able to set conditions for it. It's one of these. Placement. Yeah, here we go. So we got different placement types. So that's just going to center it in the view. Oop, not what I wanted to do. Let me clear that. Get out of there. I gotta select the one that I need first. There we go. Don't really care about avoiding holes in there. That's so like it'll wrap around holes in it. So if this had a pocket in there of like a lake, it wouldn't draw over that. This will just draw over it if it needs to. Okay, these are just kind of like procedural. We'll do curved and polygon. Spread the letters to fill it. Cool. It's getting a little closer to what I want. No, I don't care about abbreviating. So I can repeat it if I need to. Okay, set to label the largest feature part. You can see how many variables I have in here. So we'll call this a background label. That means it'll draw that first. Takes precedence over other ones. So I got the regular text fill. I can put a background actually for it. Just gotta remember how. So let's bump up the font size. We'll go with 24. See what happens when we zoom out more. Hey, see? So here's, I like this style where it kind of curves with the feature. And it's actually simplified the symbology as we zoomed out. I could actually set these for different scales to not display like forests and stuff and only show me mountain ranges. That's all stuff I can tweak, and that's the kind of manual work that will have to go into this regardless of what I do. Because each map is different. It's going to be different things we want to highlight. And if I'm doing this for somebody else, that'll just be a conversation like, what do you want highlighted? Do you want mountain ranges focused on? Do you want forests? Like, do you want it only zoomed in for specific locations? Like, that's really the meat and potatoes of this. You see, this doesn't contrast very well. It's kind of lost in the it's lost in the symbology. So if we change the color to, let's see, I think the Middle Earth stuff is like this orangish color. See what it looks like. See, it stands out a little better. It's not great. Usually you add a background or something to it. Gotta figure out how to do that. I don't know what draw glyphs as geometry does, but interesting. More research to do in the background off stream, because this is getting a little this is getting way into the territory of shit that I don't really know, but I can probably figure out if I click enough buttons. Sure, let's commit that. Let's allow asymmetric overrun. See, that stands out pretty good. I like that. Oh, let's not do overrun. That's just going to blob all over the map. See, now it'll stay constrained within that polygon. While we're at it, let's try a little forest work here. So I need to find this guy. So it's just the forest outside of it, which I think is, yeah, that guy will do. What is the name? The humid forest. Yep, it's all one contiguous forest, so let's go with that. Come on. Pick that guy. That should label it as well. Hey, there we go. Look at that. So the sizing, I think, is going to be a bit of a problem. Yeah, so that doesn't really work for that one. I'll have to set up different classes for these, and that's a lot of database work. Not my favorite thing. This is the kind of thing I enjoy. Creating kind of like the artistic style of a map. A little bit of the autistic side too, of course. So you got to be a little broken, I guess. Some wires crossed upstairs to want to do this kind of shit. Trying to think of how we can label this forest and make it stand out properly. I really like the music in Sound Sense too, by the way. It's pretty good. It's a lot of folky kind of music. There we go. We'll avoid holes in this one because this one has a lake in the middle of it. Or an ocean, however you want to classify it. Let's see, what am I looking for? Symbol. That's it. If I make it red, or it's like a pinkish color. See how that pops? It kind of pops. Let's go with... Can't use black. Hey, this is the hard part. I am not an art major, so I'm not great on my primary colors. I'm more on the technical side of this stuff, so I understand that way better than this. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do some stuff with the backing on the text to make it work, so I'll provide a little bit of a background. It'll contrast it a little bit. So it's got to be like a brighter color. If any of you watching have an idea, I'll take all considerations. Let's actually try bringing up the outline width. That might provide some contrast. Hey, that's a little better. Let's change that color to white. Might contrast with this. Ew, that's fucking ugly. Never mind. Alright, we'll go back to black. Yeah, it kind of works for now. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good stopping point, I think. But this is generally the idea of it. I want to label major features. If there's specific regions that are of interest, I'd play around with that. But for now, I think I'm going to go grab some lunch. I'll come back in, like an hour or two. And I'll go into more of the development of, let's see, how do I word this? I'm pulling out interesting stories in Legends Viewer. That's kind of what I want to do next. And then we can look at some of the locations on here. Like, I haven't even mapped out roads or rivers, that kind of stuff, but that's also something we can work on. Yeah, well, I'll gauge interest. We'll see what you guys want to watch. But, hey, thanks for hanging out. And I'll be back in a bit. Take it easy.